The goal of this open house is to provide a summary of the program, explain the application process, and answer any questions you might have. And the way you would ask questions is with that Q&A box. So our program is housed in the Department of Biomedical Informatics at Columbia University. We are one of the oldest and best informatics department in the world. Our big picture goal is to improve health for society. We focus on both discovery and impact. And we actually have numerous education opportunities. This is one of them, but of course we have our master's and our PhD, our postdocs, our fellowship programs. So we have many programs within the department. And quite a few years ago, we actually celebrated our 30th anniversary. This particular program is only a part-time program and it's short duration. So we like to say it's the program of 3 seasons. You come to us in the fall, you graduate in the spring. Or another way to say it is you give us 9 months, we'll make you a health IT professional. That being said, we have plenty of people who are already health IT professionals who have come through our program. You come through our program, we'll really help you up your game. It's practical, profession focused with a glimpse of the theoretical. So our department has quite a bit of work that we do in terms of theoretical informatics. But the purpose of this program is an applied informatics program. We are fortunate to have many people help us in the program. We have the faculty at Columbia in our department, as well as field experts and alumni who are experts that all help us within this program. We're proud of the teaching techniques we use in this program. We have worked closely with the Columbia Center for Teaching and Learning to provide an innovative teaching program where we have a blend of online and in-person learning that we think is a real special blend. We use a technique called team-based learning, and in particular, we do team-based learning with a remote aspect to it and an interdisciplinary aspect to it. You often are learning by solving problems, problem-based learning. We do some reflection, and then we're also really proud of our in-person classroom because it's a flipped classroom. So when you come to class, often it's not lectures when you're in the physical classroom, those you would have done online. In the physical classroom, instead, your team is presenting, you're going on tours, you're doing hands-on workshops with your classmates. And the end result of that is an intense, efficient, effective learning. Our alumni are really special in this program. And this is one of our alumni. This is Craig, who came to us with a clinical background, ended up in a really technical position, and now is an entrepreneur. This slide represents the structure of our program. It actually consists of 4 graduate level courses. Our program is housed in the College of Physicians and Surgeons. So you're really getting a certificate from the medical school. While it's 4 separate courses on the books, it will look and feel like one big course. Fall is focused on management. Spring is focused on methods. We have the Management of Health IT course and the Methods of Health IT course are more of our didactic learning courses, where our skills courses is where you'll be doing your kind of assignments and teamwork, project type work. So you can kind of think of the skills class as like a lab. You come in with your cohort in the fall, you graduate with your cohort in the spring. You need to take these 2 courses together in the fall, and then once you've taken those, you can take the next 2 courses in the spring. These are not courses that were assembled from the courses that we use in our other programs. They're more intense because the idea is that there's a level of efficiency in this program. Many of the people who come into our program already have degrees. Maybe we have doctors that come in our program and different kinds of clinicians, pharmacists. We have people that already have their MBAs. or maybe they've got their master's in technology, and they might not be interested in a long-term program. So we try to make it an executive format, very condensed and efficient. However, that being said, we do have people that go through our program and go from this program and decide that they want to go and get a continue on to a higher level of learning in informatics. We've also even had people come to our program who already had a master's in informatics but took this program because they felt that this program was offering them something they did not have in their program. If you decide after completing this program that you would like to continue in our department and get a master's in biomedical informatics, the credits in this program will apply to the master's program. However, the application process for that program is separate, so you would have to apply and get accepted. So let's look more at those courses. And this is overall competencies of the program included in those courses. When you come out of our program, you will be able to describe the field of health information technology from the leadership perspective. And the left side is what will happen from the fall. You'll be able to identify and explore techniques utilized by managers and analysts in the field. You'll be able to you will have developed a health information technology interdisciplinary vocabulary. You will have experience so that you'll be able to plan and present to a customer a comprehensive health IT project plan using health IT expertise and project management techniques. You'll be able to collaborate and communicate effectively across disciplines. And you'll be able to evaluate problems and propose health IT interventions, applying quality improvement methods and health IT expertise. And then in the spring, the competencies we work on there have a more technical nature to them. So you'll be able to describe the field of health information technology from the developer and implementer perspective. You will be able to implement and explore technologies, methods, and best practices in health information technology. You'll be able to utilize health IT expertise and apply technologies and methods in health IT to solve problems in systems design, architecture, interoperability, security, and analytics. And you'll be able to interpret and employ health IT standards, technologies, and languages, evaluate design approaches in health IT solutions, and finally, you will continue to hone your skills in terms of teamwork. So both team and presentation skills apply to the field of health IT. We see teamwork as a core competency in health IT, as well as being able to work in an interdisciplinary environment. It's a rigorous, in-depth introduction to the field. And again, it is also very appropriate for someone who's been in the field quite a long time, but never had that chance for professional training. And as I mentioned before, we have had people come into our program that actually have formal training, but feel that they need this training. So more about our fall. These are the modules of our fall, a little outdated. It no longer says meaningful use, but that's a glimpse of what the modules would look like. And as you start out the fall semester, we start with what we call a pre-assessment. And this is where we have everyone take an assessment test to see what your gaps are in knowledge on a kind of a breadth area. And the purpose of the assessment is really so that then we can give everyone pre-work at the beginning of the semester to kind of level that playing field. Those are topics that aren't covered in depth in the program. Some of them, they're foundational to the program. But you will still have gaps. Everyone comes to our program with strengths and gaps. And one of the great things is you're going to be put on an interdisciplinary team. And your strength will help fill someone else's gap, and you'll learn from each other. In the fall, we have a breadth introduction to the field of health IT, informatics, introduction to EHRs and how they work. You'll know quite a bit about the politics and policies of this field. You'll understand how health IT and workflows go together, and that's really important. And we'll also look at health IT applied to new models of care. And then you'll be learning some important skills, but from a health IT perspective, focus and lens. in terms of organizational structure, organizational change, decision making, and consulting, as well as some important implementation skills. Again, from a health IT lens, project management, the implementation lifecycle, workflow analysis, tools for process improvement using health IT, and how to provide service and support in health IT production environments. We have had students that have gone through this program that had a PMP certification, project management professional certification. We've had quite a few students that have come through, and they were able to get a nice amount of continuing education hours that they could apply for their continuing education needs for PMP. And some of these things you might say, well, I don't want to be a project manager, or I'm not interested in this thing or that thing. But I will tell you that it's really important to understand what these skills are, so you can know to ask for them, you can know to hire them, you can know when something is not going right, when you understand what the best practices are. In our spring, we like to call it our under the hood semester. In terms of our didactic training, we've listed some of the modules here. I would like to say we divide it up. We have our big focus in the spring. In the fall is strategy. I want everyone to think like a strategist. In the spring, it's architecture. I want everyone to think of it like an architect when they look at health IT solutions. So we'll be talking a lot about that. How do you design usable systems? How do you represent information? How do you represent information that is reusable? And how do you reuse that data in a smart way? And then we're going to move on from architecture of a system to how do we architect across systems. So we're going to look at interoperability. And we look at interoperability in depth. And then when you start talking about interoperability and reuse, standards in health informatics become very important. So we will look at terminology standards, and we will look at interoperability standards. Another lens of in health IT that sort of has a different slant to it is consumer-facing health IT, such as patient portals and patient apps. We're also going to be talking about, from a patient perspective, privacy. What is privacy, and how do we implement privacy and respect that within health IT systems, as well as security? So you could think architecture blending into interoperability, and then privacy and security. Those are 3 different deep dives we do within our spring program. And then our final deep dive is when we take it to a higher level. One is, how do we use these systems to actually provide decision support for clinicians and for users? So we look at clinical decision support, a little bit of clinical decision science. And then we also look at how you can inform those decisions with data. So we'll look at secondary uses of data. We'll look at novel data sources like genomics and things like that. And then, we will talk about analytics, as well as artificial intelligence / machine learning. And this slide, I think, is saying some of the things I just said already. But one thing I want to point out is, in the spring, in the fall, you have a lot of team-based projects. In the spring, you still have some team-based projects. You have a lot of individual projects as well. And you will see that there are going to be a lot of individual exercises assigned in the spring to help you develop competency in these areas. And the important reason why we make it individual assignments is we want everyone to develop that competency. Sometimes we get people really technical in the program, and they may take a particular exercise to like another level. And sometimes we've had people that are really not technical at all. And it's really important that those people are able to develop those technical skills. And by having individual assignments, then people are able to develop that confidence, because I want everyone to come out feeling very confident in their new skills and expertise. And I'm just so fortunate to work in an amazing department with faculty that are world-renowned, as well as, you know, in great New York City, where there's so many people that can come in and help us in the classroom, and New York Presbyterian in our backyard, with so many people over there who have been able to help us. And we have alumni, over 200 alumni, and they are near and dear to this program, and many come into the classroom to help, and many are experts. They came to us with their own expertise when they came into this program sometimes. Others have graduated, you know, in 2011 from our program, and they have developed great expertise and leadership. And one of the reasons why we bring so many people to meet you in the physical classroom and the remote classroom is to build your network, because that is a really important skill in health IT, is not just to have knowledge and skills, but also to have a network, because your network will help you solve problems, and networks are also kind of useful in getting a job. So it's a really important thing. And I will tell you, I personally will say that my success in my career has a lot to do with not just what I know, but who I know. So I want to help my students develop that, and we have a special community among in this program across with our alumni and our students that I am really proud of. And the teams are set up to be interdisciplinary. So here's a picture of a team. We were at an in-person class. As I mentioned, we have a flipped classroom. So instead of just listening to a lecture, this team is doing an assignment, and the assignment that they are doing is they are sort of racing against the other teams to try and break into a mock system. And on this team here, the person at the computer his strength coming into our program was he's a data scientist. He really knows data. He's a statistician. Next to him, sitting down, is a doctor. She's a surgeon. Standing up right above the person sitting down is someone who's a programmer, very technical. And then to the left of him is someone who's a healthcare executive. So this is a really nice blend of people working together to solve problems. One thing that's also really great in our program is we often, we get some students that can be somewhat young, but usually people are highly motivated in this program, and you know, they really want to get everything they can out of it. You know, and sometimes real life just is distracting and things happen. I'll bring up an old example, not the obvious one, but we went through Hurricane Sandy in our program, and that was really difficult. Some people lost their houses. You know, we watched teams sort of shift and work through this, but watching everyone sort of take care of each other during these times was, and then learning from the disaster from health IT was just, you know, real life happens, and it happens on a more personal level. Lots of times, you know, our students are doing things in their job. Their jobs are very busy. Their personal lives are busy. We expect busy people in this program, but they've made time for this because this is important to them. And that being said, we very much honor the fact that our students are busy, and there is flexibility in this program when it's needed. This is an example of a team as well, and this team was doing a presentation. And again, this is a blend. I think we have a health IT, someone from health IT, someone who is, you know, kind of at the beginning of her career, who has since gone on and decided to get a master's in informatics, but early on in her career, but she did have some healthcare experience as well as some good relevant undergraduate training that she brought in. We have a pharmacist here, and we have a doctor and professor here. Our program is mostly online. For an entire month, you are working online. But then one Friday a month for the whole day, you come to campus. The online component, but one problem I have personally with online programs is that you can feel not that engaged. And I think the whole world is sort of trying to figure this out, is how do we feel more engaged online? So we think we've come up with a really good blend of how to make it that when you are online, you will be engaged. And one part of that is you do get to see everyone once a month, and that's synchronous learning. But the rest of the month, there's a combination of synchronous and asynchronous learning. All of the lectures are asynchronous. You have about 4 days to complete the lectures and the readings. You take a quiz by yourself whenever you want during those 4 days. And then over the weekend, you meet with your team. You meet with them remotely, and you pick a time. You're going to sit with your team and say, when can we meet? And you pick a regular meeting time, and you use some sort of remote platform to do your meeting. And then your team will do the quiz again from the week, but discuss it together. And when you discuss it together, you're going to learn from each other, and your grades will go up, of course, in your group quiz grade. But more importantly is you will learn from working together. And then your team will also most likely be working on some sort of assignment. In the beginning, we have short case assignments that you complete within a week. And then as the semester progresses, and as the program progresses, you have longer term team assignments. Some of them, we have one that's almost like a capstone in the fall. And that is happening in this case here. We see the team is doing a case, but they're also preparing something that they're going to present at the next in-person. A difference in the spring, as I mentioned before, is there's still some team, multi-week assignments, but there's also more individual work. The teamwork, you put on the same team for the entire semester in the fall, and then you have another team in the spring for the entire semester, and teams in the fall even get mentors. So we take this teamwork very seriously, and we are very supportive of you as you go through it. We have teams these days that have had reunions, like they can't wait to, that was my teammate. And another thing really special in our program is embracing your cohort. People be like, yeah, I was in the 2011 cohort, I was in 2012. Kind of reminds me of like high school. I graduated this year. And it's a really short duration, part-time program that's mostly online, but people feel very cohesive. As in any online class, we have a forum, discussion boards. We have discussion boards, topics that might be here and there assigned, but usually there is a place to do Q&A about the particular, and reflections about the particular module, how things went in the in-person. And then we have general ones, which something I really encourage in the program is that our students do other things while they're here. I think that when you decide to be a student at Columbia, that you should embrace that. Use the Columbia Library, which includes the online library. Go to Columbia programs. Participate in things in the Department of Biomedical Informatics. We have a weekly seminar. I chair the HL7 Fire Lab. Join the Fire Lab. You could decide to go to a hackathon, go to a local HIMSS event, go out to AMIA, go to the AMIA conference, go to the American Medical Informatics Association conference, go to National HIMSS, which unfortunately was canceled this year, but we had quite a few alumni going there, and we're gonna have a booth, and we had alumni work in the booth, and we had alumni and students both going. We're gonna have a big dinner together. We had a nice time out at AMIA with students kind of getting together, and I make sure that every student and alumni meets each other so we can build that network. And at New York HIMSS, usually we have quite a few alumni. And some people have gone to DC for the Office of National Coordinator events. I'd encourage people to get their student memberships. You will also participate some with HL7, Health Level 7. Get your student memberships, participate in things as a student, use those nice student rates. Take advantage of the kindness people show you when they know you're a student. And pamper yourself. Allow yourself to be that student, and allow yourself to really immerse yourself in the field. So not just within this program, but also going out and doing these other things. Hackathons is one of my favorite things my students will do, especially when they're non-technical. They go and they're a little scared, and they find out they were the most important person in the room. I like it when you're really technical at the hackathon, But, when I've sent doctors and nurses, they're like, wow, I actually understand the use case. They really needed me there. And I'm like, yeah, I told you. And some of our students have participated in contests. I get very excited about that. And this screen shows an example of one of our recorded lectures. One of the great things about the fact that we have so much that is remote is that, we can tap people that are not just here in New York to help us out. And this is just an example of some remote teamwork. This is a picture of a team doing a usability testing assignment. They're conducting a formal usability test of this open source EHR that we work with. Each of them is playing a specific role in that test. As I mentioned before, we use an open source EHR in the program that has provided many opportunities and lessons for us because it's open source. We can actually get to the source if we want to. We can participate in the community if we want to. We can evaluate it. We can even understand what open source means, its benefits and limitations. So that's been really useful. And we've actually been able to contribute to this open source community as well. So if you see here, we have the Columbia Health IT certification class participated by doing gap analysis one year, and another year they contributed their they contributed basically kind of glossy advice on how doctors that use this program could maximize their incentive payments for a particular regulatory program using the health information technology. And these are just some examples of work from the class. And so I want to just take a glance at an example of our calendar. It's a little dated now, but it still looks like this. So if you look at the calendar, you'll see every week there's a new module. Every week there's a new TA who's on call. And the TAs are all alumni of the program that I've asked specifically to come and help. We also have project advisors that help me in the fall, and other alumni and other subject matter experts that help us with the program at different times. If you see something crossed out, that just means it's been completed. So the rocket ships are quizzes. So you'll notice on Thursday there's an individual quiz, and then on Sunday is the group quiz. Those are just the deadlines. It's not at a particular time. And then what else do I want to point here? Oh, yes. You'll see, is there a project on here? I don't see the project deadline. But you will see, oh yeah, you see a project deadline. Just Enough Project Management is on the 13th of October. And then you'll also see that there is a in-person this month. So that's the in-person on the 13th in that particular year. And so let's look more about some things that happened during the in-person. I mentioned we have that flipped classroom. So here, the student is the one presenting and driving this system. Our students are up doing a knowledge representation workshop. Students are acting out a workflow. In the fall, we've traditionally done tours. So here our students are taking a tour of radiology. And here they're taking a tour of all the health IT systems in anesthesiology. And then we usually include a career workshop in the spring towards the end of the program to, our purpose is even if you have no plans to leave where you are, it is still useful to reflect on what you have gained from these 2 semesters. So we spend time doing that. We talk about how you represent yourself. Bring your CV in, you bring your resume in. We work on thinking about how can you list your new knowledge and skills, how can you list the certificate, kind of trying to improve those things and talk about career possibilities. And I think it's really useful to reflect in that way. I mentioned, I guess, many times we're supported by our program survivors. And here's a picture of our alumni. This is, as I mentioned, we have these dinners sometimes, wonderful. This is last year at HIMSS. Really nice blend of students and alumni. Great mentoring was going on at this dinner between, in the picture in the front, there is a young pharmacist who's interested in health IT and a seasoned health IT professional who is a pharmacist, kind of one taking the other one under the wing. And more pictures of alumni. You always see me in there smiling when I'm surrounded by my alumni. And these people have really done some good things in the field. This is a montage of pictures from our 2017 class put together by one of our alumni, kind of showing our graduates and our keynote and our beautiful department. And this is another one of our classes. We have a balcony, so it's our balcony picture. Real excited about our keynotes. Last year we had Steve Posnack from the Office of National Coordinator come and keynote. We've had John Halamka, who's a luminary in the field, and Farzad Mustashari, a luminary in the field. And, you know, graduation day is always a very exciting day in our program. And then tradition is we have a career fair at the end of our program. And even if you really are not interested in getting a new job, it's still nice to network with the people behind those tables, because I try to make sure we have a nice blend. And these are people that you might want to work with in the field and collaborate with. Something nice about this picture is the person behind the table is an alumni, and that is not uncommon, where an alumni will come, bring their company or represent their company and talk to our students. So here's another one of our quotes. I'll tell you a bit about Brian's story. Brian came to us as an emergency room clinician, went through our program, and then got a leadership role in informatics, and is now a CMIO. He also was able to take the experience pathway of the clinical informatics fellowship, and he's now board certified in clinical informatics. Several of our doctors that have graduated from our program are now board certified in clinical informatics. In addition, our program not only educates our certification students, it also is the didactic training for our clinical informatics fellowship following the training pathway. So every year we have a clinician in our program who is going through our program because it meets their competencies for the clinical informatics fellowship, or some of the competencies. They still have to do some experience work at the hospital as well. Our application deadline is somewhat soon. It's May 20th. And I think we had it set as in 2021. It's in 2020, the deadline. And if you have any questions, you can always reach us at hit@columbia.edu. I get all of those emails, as well as Marina Bonanno. So between the two of us, we should be able to answer your questions. When you submit your application, it will send an email out to the recommenders you have selected. They have a week to respond. They might have a week they might have until a week after the final deadline. I would encourage you to, make sure your recommenders are getting their letters in, no matter, when it is. I wouldn't, you really better not be waiting for the last minute. You can start an application anytime without finishing it. That way you can kind of see what the application looks like, kind of come back and work on it over time. I do recommend you do not wait to the last minute. We'll talk a bit more about what's on that application. But before that, let's talk about the kind of candidates we're looking for in this program. First, everyone who applies to our program must have a bachelor's degree. This program is taking place in the medical school, which is completely a graduate school. We're looking for people that have, we're looking for different kinds of experience that we want to blend together on our intentionally interdisciplinary teams. So we really like getting people in the program that are technical. So if you have technical background from a STEM field, that is very useful. Actually having health IT experience is very useful. If you're clinical healthcare experience or administrative healthcare experience, those are also very useful. And project management is useful, kind of management is useful. Public health training or experience is useful. And perhaps I have missed something on this list. We've had venture capitalists, people in health IT, who are venture capitalists in health IT, or we've had people from a sales perspective. We've also had lawyers that have gone through our program. So, and we've also had people that really, while they may have had some of these backgrounds, their real interest is because they've had, a lot of training by their own personal lives as being a patient or a caregiver that has really impacted their interest in the program and what they brought to the program. So we're intentionally seeking that diversity. Sometimes, people are not sure if they're the right fit. If you would like to talk to me about it, reach out and we'll talk about it. Also, since I mentioned we have this big alumni group, or community, if you would like to talk to someone who you think might be kind of like you, I can try and connect you with someone. So looking at application requirements, those basic demographics, of course, and your resume or CV is very important. A personal statement, this is where you tell us who you are and why you're applying, what you expect, what this program means to you, why you want to go through this program, what you can do with it. And then you need to provide us with transcripts. We actually need official transcripts from the schools that you went to. Lots of times you can get those electronically these days, but in some cases not. And you're allowed to upload unofficial transcripts, and that can help us get started on reviewing applications. But we really need the official transcripts to be able to offer you admissions. And the other thing is we need all your transcripts. So any transcript that, if you took a class anywhere that led to one of the degrees, your bachelor's, your master's, your medical degree, whatever degree you have, we need to have all those transcripts. So that can feel a bit like a scavenger hunt. So strongly recommend that you start this process early. You also need 2 references. At least one of them needs to be from a supervisor or an instructor. And there is an application fee. So those are the requirements for applying. And then I think I'm getting towards the end of my presentation here. So, and then we'll do questions. So I was once asked to present at a faculty retreat this certification program. And they said, Virginia, we would like you to present the certification program in, I don't know if they said 3 minutes, 5 minutes. They gave me this really short amount of time. Just give a quick presentation on the program. And I'm like, how am I going to do that? I'm really fond of this program. And as you can tell, I can easily talk on and on about it for 50 minutes straight. So I was like, what can I do? And I said, I know, I'll write a personal ad. So this is our personal ad for the program. Talented, smart, excited, impatient, experienced grown-ups from diverse professional backgrounds with busy work and life schedules seek top quality, intense, efficient, practical, and relevant training and support. allowing them to build or enhance their careers in health information technology. They enjoy monthly visits to New York City. They appreciate a long-term membership in a select, highly supportive network of program alumni and advocates. And I guess one thing I missed on here, but you might have gotten the feel, is the flexibility of our program is also important. Thank you very much for taking time out of your evening to join us.